All right, welcome back. Now we're going to do an example of application type problems. So this is word problems. So again, these are very important to be able to decipher, understand, and solve. Okay, so I'm going to explain what's going on here. So in this example, we have someone that's deposited or invested $18,000 into three funds, a bond fund, an aggressive growth fund, and international fund. Now here are a couple things that they tell us. They tell us that the bond fund over the past year has returned 4%. The aggressive growth fund has lost 8%, and the international fund has returned 2%. Also, they tell us that $2,000 more was invested in the growth fund than the other two funds combined. It says if the net loss was $540 for the year, how much did this person invest in each fund? Okay, so we gotta use the information here to set up the three equations. Okay, first of all, we know that the total amount invested in each of the three funds is $18,000. So since we're trying to figure out how much was invested in each of the three funds, let's let the variables represent those amounts, X, Y, and Z, okay? So let X be the amount, let's say X is equal to the amount of money in the bond fund, okay? Y will equal the amount of money in the aggressive growth fund. And then Z will be the amount of money that was invested in the international fund, right? And so let's set up our three equations. So first of all, we know that the sum of all of those amounts has to be $18,000. Okay. We also know that $2,000 more was invested in the aggressive growth fund than the other two funds combined. So that means that Y is going to equal the sum of these two other values plus another 2,000. So we know that Y equals what? X plus Z plus another 2,000, right? Because there are 2,000 more in Y than the sum of the other two funds, right? And then, of course, we were told that the fund lost $540 for the year, so that's where the percentages are going to come in. So we know that if we take the returns over the past year, we know that we got a 4% rate of return on the bond fund, so that's going to be 0.04 X, plus we lost 8%, so that's negative 0.08 on the aggressive growth fund, so that's Y. And then we earned 2%, so that's going to be plus 0.02 times the amount that was invested in the international fund, and that equals a net loss, right, of $540. So there's the three equations. So let's solve these. So how do we want to do this? Well, if we rewrite this as Y minus, Y, so it would be minus X, so subtract X and Z from both sides, so it'll be minus X plus Y minus Z equals 2,000. Okay, now right away we see that if we add this equation to this equation, we'll get y. So let's do that. So if we add, so this one, x plus y plus z equals 18,000. And if we add these two, the x's drop out, the z's drop out, and we get 2y equals what? 20. And so that means y equals 10,000. So that we already know y is equal to 10,000, so there's $10,000 invested in y. So great, now we know what y is. Okay? Now that we know that what y is, we can plug in y. We can plug in y into both of these equations and get a system of two equations with two unknowns, right? So we know y is 10,000, so let's use that. Okay, so y is 10,000. So now this becomes x plus 10,000 plus z is equal to 18,000. This one becomes what? Negative x plus 10,000. Oh, that's not going to work. That's right, because the x and z's cancel each other out. So in that case, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's plug y into this one. So we get, in fact, why don't we multiply the whole thing by 100 to get rid of the decimals? Let's do that first. So let's multiply by 100. Okay, so we'll take this and multiply by 100. And what do we get? We get 4x minus 8y plus 2z equals 54,000. And now let's plug in 10,000 for y. So we get 4x minus 8 times 10,000, which is 80,000. So we'll get 80,000 plus 2z equals 54,000. And then if we add 80,000 to both sides, we get 4x plus 2z equals 134,000. And over here, this will become x plus z equals 8,000. So now if I bring this over here, right? So now let's erase this. And I got 4x plus 2z equals 134,000. So now if I multiply, let's multiply the top one by negative 2. And so that's going to give me what? That's going to give me negative 2 here. That's going to give me negative 2 here. And that's going to give me a negative 16,000 here. So negative 16,000. So then my new equation is going to be this, right? And again, make sure you pause the video just to make sure you're understanding what I'm doing here, okay? So now what I'm going to do is add down. So the z's are going to cancel, and then what I'm going to get? I'm going to get 2x is equal to, okay, what do I get? I get 100 and, let's see, 18. 118,000 doesn't seem right. Because x would then be 59,000. That doesn't make any sense. What did I do wrong? Okay, 0.04 x minus 0.08 y plus 0.04 equals negative 50. Oh, that's where I made my mistake. The negative, I dropped the negative here, down here. Okay, that's what I did. So if I multiply by 100, that's going to give me 4x minus 8y plus 4z, or no, 2. This is 2, 0.02. So this is going to give me 2z is equal to negative 54,000, and then this would have been negative 80, so this would have been 4x minus 80, because if I plug in 10,000 for y, that'd be minus an 80,000. Okay, plus 2z equals negative 54,000. And then if I add 80 to both sides, that's where I made my mistake. So this would be 80. That makes a lot of sense, right? And then that makes a lot more sense now. So then 54, so that would give 26,000, right? So, okay, there we go. So that would give 4x plus 2z is equal to 26,000. There we go. Okay, now it makes sense. So we get 4x plus 2z equals 26,000. Now we multiply both sides, the top equation by negative 2. And then the z's crop out, and we get 2x is equal to, okay, now it's equal to 10,000. So 2x is equal to 10,000. Now this makes a lot more sense. So then x is equal to 5,000. All right, good. So now we found x. So y is equal to 10,000. X is equal to 5,000. And of course, that leaves z has to equal what? 3,000, because it has to add up to 18,000. So that means, there we go. And that's the answer. Now, what I would do, and I strongly recommend you do this, I'm not going to do it in the video, but do it on your own. Go back after the video's over, plug all of these values, 10,000, 5,000, and 3,000, in all three of the equations, and I mean these three, and make sure that you get a satisfactory answer. You get a true answer, a true statement for each one of the three. Okay, and that's it. Sorry it took so long, and I'm glad I caught that mistake.